Song Talk Radio.
Welcome to Song Talk Radio, the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Neil Modi, and with me, my co-host, Phil Emery. How you doing, Phil?
I'm deeply disappointed because I went out and gave blood this past week, and I forgot to post it on social media. So I wasted all that opportunity to post something on Facebook about giving blood, which apparently you're supposed to do because the Canadian Blood Services has been sending me emails constantly for the last few days to share my experience. So there you go.
Well, maybe they can share with you the fact that you might have saved someone's life. How about that?
Yeah, well, that's true.
Is that an okay consolation prize?
Well, that's okay for me, but apparently they're very upset, so okay. I don't know.
Gee whiz. Just can't make them happy, eh?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay. Well, speaking of... never mind. Okay, tonight we're happy to welcome back to the show singer-songwriter Greg Wyard. Greg Wyard is a popular Toronto performer known for his live solo and band performances in and around the Toronto area. He's also an accomplished singer-songwriter who has recently emerged from a few years of dormancy on that front, releasing new songs such as Suddenly Everything's All Right and Guns and Money, which have both been featured on Song Talk Radio, so check out the show post for links to those episodes. Good time there. And in this past April, Greg released his latest song, People Don't Change, an evocative tune that examines people's resistance to change in an ever-changing world. Recorded by Greg in his home studio, the song enters new sonic territory for Greg, featuring Indian elements such as tabla and sitar in a manner reminiscent of the Beatles' Norwegian Wood. You can hear People Don't Change on Spotify, Apple Music, and all other streaming platforms right now. Welcome back to Song Talk Radio, Greg.
Thank you so much. Good to be back. Thank you.
Great to have you on the show again. Yeah, you're right. This is like your third time on the show.
Yeah, I think that's the three songs since I've emerged. So thank you for supporting them.
You've reemerged.
Yeah. Yes, reemerged.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Okay, so we're going to get started here. Let's take a listen to Greg Wyard's new song. This is called People Don't Change.
Well, before we get to that, Neil, there is this is an interesting time signature, isn't it?
Actually, it's actually in 3/4, but it can be felt in 6/8, and it's come. That's caused some trouble. I can explain it later after you play it. But first time we played it, my drummer heard it wrong, and we had to sort of stop and start again. So, but it is actually in 3/4.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out what the count was. So it could be 3/4 or 6/8, depending on how you count it.
Where the emphasis is, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, we'll take a listen.
No crystal ball, things might get strange, but through it all, people don't change. Dad donates half his pay, but tells no one. Brad's building schools abroad instead of lying in the chill will be felt. No crystal ball, things might get strange, but through it all, people don't change. People don't change. Seasons will pass, ice caps will melt, prices will rise, chill will be felt. No crystal ball, things might get strange, but through it all, people don't change. Yes, through it all, people don't change.
Great song. Wow, there's a lot of stuff to unpack here. Yeah, when I was listening to it the first couple of times earlier, I was like, yeah. At first I was like, yeah, 6/8. But then I was listening to like you said, Greg, the emphasis, and it is actually in 3/4 because it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
yeah,
3.
but the intro,
supposed to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, because it feels like it.
because the intro doesn't really tell you because the emphasis is not obvious until the drums come in.
Yeah, until the drums come in and the beat drops. It actually reminded me of one of my favorite XTC songs, "Wrapped in Grey."
Oh, really? I'll have to listen to that.
Which has essentially the same thing. It's very much a 3/4 as opposed to a 6/8 because the emphasis is on the 1 and the 3.
Oh, okay.
Did you intend to do a 3/4 song, or did you come this way by accident?
It was one of those things. I always call it my Pink Floyd moment because I heard David Gilmour say that he picked up the guitar and just played "Wish You Were Here," the very first time. Just picked up, and I was just picking up my guitar to play something, and I played that, So it's like it just was in 3/4. I just so without thinking about it, I thought that was kind of an interesting brain thing that my brain just went to 3/4,
Right. And,
so not intentionally.
And you did reference Norwegian Wood in your intro, which
I guess is in 3.
Is in 3. It's in 12/8 or something.
Although that's more of a ding 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 ding. That's a faster 3. That is more like a 6/8. 1 2 3 2 2. Yeah, but this is like 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. So it's the different, same length but different feel. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
But
it's a wonderful change because we get so tied into 4/4, especially because the way DAWs tend to work, people tend to fall into that habit unless you make a point of not doing that.
Yeah, I think I saw a YouTube channel or video in about like how many songs in 3 were hits or even made in popular music, and 3/4 is just not really fashionable, anymore. It's hard. It's you don't hear a lot of new music, so for whatever reason. But in Indian music, you would hear 11. You'd hear, So I thought, as far as using it as sitar, it's very common to use unusual type signatures in Indian raga.
Sure.
You were saying about your drummer having trouble with your figuring it out.
Yeah, because we were playing it with a click. He's just got the tick tick in his head, I guess, or 6 tick 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 tick, and he instinctively went to and I'm trying to say on stage, no, it's 1 2 1 2 and 3 and 1 2 and 3. So Yeah, it's easy to lose it if you don't.
Well, and like Phil was alluding to, there's your default 4/4, and then after that is your default 6/8, and because majority of songs are going to be 4/4, or then a smaller majority of 6/8, and after that everything else falls off. But yeah, interesting choice. Was it that? Is that how you started this song? Was the picking up your guitar and just coming up with that little melodic lick, or the?
It was just a melodic lick, and then I heard this little melody to go over it, and I just thought I was learning sitar, and I just thought something to play my sitar on. I'll try and see what it sounds like, and I had to tune the sitar a bit higher to get that range.
So it's a real sitar.
It's actually two real sitars. I have two. I have a real one with a gourd, and I have a guitar version, which I can show you. Actually, it's right here.
Oh yeah, I've seen those. Those are quite cool, actually.
Yeah, the strings are off right now, but it's a guitar body with a sitar neck, basically.
Okay.
So you
and anyone listening on the podcast, go check out the YouTube, because that's a pretty cool instrument. So it's like a hybrid sitar guitar.
Yeah. I saw it in India when I went to India in 2016 with my girlfriend's family, and that I'd never seen one until I went there, and then when I came back, I ordered one, had it sent over, and it just takes away that problem of bringing a full sitar to a gig. You can't stand and play it. It's so fragile. That thing's a little more sturdy, and it sounds great. But it's a little. Sorry.
In terms of like number of strings and the way you play it, like the tuning of it and all that sort of stuff, it's the same as a traditional.
Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah. Okay. 21 strings, whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay. So it's just it's an ergonomic thing more than else.
Yeah. It's easy. It's easy to transport.
That means you can also like put it through a distortion pedal and get some volume and.
Yeah, I've actually things I haven't really done. Actually, I should try that. Yeah, you could.
You don't have to worry about feedback, and it's that is such a cool thing. What company makes that?
It's just a guy. I forget how I even found him now. I know him on WhatsApp. I've got his number. Whenever I need to contact him, I send him a message. He just sent me a new part for it. Well, it must have. I forget now because it was a while ago. It must have been a contact that I kept the name when I was in India. It must be that, because I don't remember how. Otherwise,
wild.
Okay, so lyrically was the people don't change. Like, are you a lyrics last writer or?
Absolutely, the lyrics were not part of it when I came up with the tune. It was. I think I knew it had to be kind of a introspective sounding song. It didn't sound like a romantic song or an angry song, or it had a kind of a atmosphere to it. So and I just had this idea about climate change and the whole world changing around us, and then the idea that people don't change their ways. If they're a good person or a bad person, it's very general theory, but you don't radically change throughout your life. Sometimes you're a criminal, you redeem yourself maybe, but you tend to be a certain type of person, and you're less likely to change. But the world around is changing. That was kind of the concept. Really a little heavy, but that was kind of what I was going for. Yeah. And then I tried to think of. I started out with all bad things in the first and second verse, and then I thought, no, I got to do a bad verse and then a good verse. Like first one's is people having trouble with their marriage and alcoholism, and then I thought the second verse can be like good people who don't change, like giving money to charity, and so that's
I did notice that. I was like, it's kind of bleak off the top, and the time you get after the first chorus,
I couldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it that bleak.
To the good stuff. So were the examples of Bev and Hannah and Dan? Are they? I mean, they may not have taken their names from real people, but were there stations in life something that you took from people personally, or
not necessarily? No, I was really. I mean, I was going for the D for Dan, the letters, going with the names more than I was concerned about actual real people. I was sort of making up characters for the song.
Right on.
So, although maybe I've met people that reminded me, but it wasn't conscious.
Yeah, and certainly got the climate change reference with the seasons and ice caps and chill will be felt, even though it's global warming. There's also extreme cold, so chill will be felt.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like the opposite, right? The chill, but I thought a chill over the world. Chilling things are going to possibly happen, and I know it doesn't sound very optimistic, but it's just a general. I try to sort of balance it optimistically and pessimistically if I could,
Yeah.
Let's talk about the bridge.
Oh yeah,
which is really cool. What was the approach with that? That's a total break in some ways, isn't it?
It really was. It was like I couldn't think of anything to say new in the bridge. That's usually where you have something new to say, and nothing came to mind other than just saying the title of the song one more time. And I put everything down as, I remember I put everything down as a tone, like a step.
Right, because there is a significant key change. In your verses and choruses, you're not even moving like chordally, harmonically. You're not moving around too much. You're kind of going from major to minor and just kind of staying in the same key. And then the bridge hits, and it's like whoa.
Yeah, it's really a 3-chord song. The whole song. It's just A, D, and a E, or was it? I can't think of it. But but then the chorus. I just thought the bridge had to do something different, so it goes down to G basically and does this little riff, and I guess I wanted to. There's a couple of little techniques I learned in my sitar lessons, which is those big bends on the strings, and I wanted to put that in the. Dan, 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 and you pull the string more each time. It's like a bending of the string. So there's da 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 that sort of thing. I wanted to get that in the song. I think that was part of it, and then it goes back to the regular key again.
Yeah,
and the strings in there too. I wanted to have the strings kind of doubling that stuff.
Yeah, because it does have a certain. I would wager to call it otherworldly in the bridge. You literally take us to a different world.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Bring us back, right?
I appreciate it. Yeah.
Is the bridge in 3/4 as well?
Yeah, it never changes feel. It never changes 3.
Yeah.
Da, 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 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 1 and 2 and 3. Yeah, it does stay in that.
And I think that's the thing. I mean, I've come to realize this more recently too. Is that this idea of complexity versus simplicity? If you're gonna make a massive key change, if you're gonna introduce weird instrumental things like your pitch bending as you're talking about, if you're on top of that, you're then going to change time signature. You're throwing a little too much at the wall.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's like you got to keep something. To leave it within the same world, the same family as the song.
There was no good reason to change it. I felt like everything I did wasn't calculated to be, to going against the grain or anything. I wasn't trying to write a hit song. Put it in 3/4, add a sitar. You've lost 90% of people already. So that was never a problem. I wasn't even going to include it. On any recording, I remember one of those things you just find. I thought, well, that's kind of cool. I maybe I could use that for something. It was one of those, and that was it. Really,
I think the thing that threw me off in terms of the counting, because I counted 6/8 because it feels but the way you count it is 1, 2, and 3. It's that and 3 that really kind of gives it a bit of a bounce.
It's because there's a syncopation on the da da bum ba da da right da 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 da.
Whereas you think of traditional 3/4 is 1, 2, 3, 2, 2.
Right, it's a very slow 3. 1, 2, 3. I think of it as the slow. I call it the it's based on the beat from "Wonderful Tonight," Eric Clapton's ding 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 ding, and that's in 4. But it's that kind of thing with an extra beat. Ding, 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 ding. So that's how I think of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's more of the rock 3/4 as opposed to a waltz.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, when we did our episode, it was the year before last, Phil, when you came over here. Actually, we did the time signatures.
Oh, yes,
1,000 different time signatures. And, and, I mean, we compared the song I was talking about before, "Wrapped in Grey" XTC, which is 3/4, to Proclaimers. I forget what the song was. There's a Proclaimers song that's clearly in 6/8, and it's like, you can hear the difference very clearly when you put them side by side.
Right. Like all the Irish jigs are in 6/8, right? You know, Irish Washboard.
Right,
Yeah.
So did it take a long time to write the rest of this? Like, it seemed like you came up with the musical motif pretty quickly, and then did the lyric take a while? Or?
Yeah, it was a one on the back burner for probably a year or more, you know, when I sort of came back to it and finished it.
There was a lot of editing, like revising as along? Or?
Like I had, I know, I had completely different lyrics at the beginning. There was something about everybody wants to be the best or something. Everybody wants to take the ball and knock it out the park. That was an original lyric. I remember that.
Oh, really?
So I didn't have any. Yeah, there wasn't any intention to put this. People had changed.
It was a completely different idea.
Yeah, and then I didn't. I thought, it's stupid. You know, it doesn't work, and I left it for a long time. So that's when I came back to, for sure.
Huh.
Just to finish it. I just remembered that now. Yeah.
Is that something you do? You go over songs that you weren't happy with or that you never finished and then revisit them?
I do. I have a folder of, you know, even now I've got a folder of last year's like 2023 songs that I haven't gone back to, you know, because I'm trying to do new stuff, but I will eventually go back to them. And see if
do you differentiate between songs you didn't finish where you know there's a germ of something there that's worth exploring further, maybe in a different direction than you originally did it, as opposed to that was kind of neat, but it's not really going to go anywhere. I'm just going to scrap it entirely. Is that you have two buckets for that, or is it?
Well, I always think feelings change over time. You know, you leave these songs and then you forget about them, and then you go back and go, oh, that wasn't so bad. You know, maybe I'll revisit that now, you know. So your past self might have not liked it, but your present self likes it again or something. Yeah, I don't know. But I do have a lot. I do.
What's worse is when your present self can't remember how to play it.
Yeah. I actually do videos.
Like,
that's really funny because I often do guitar videos of my hand. You know, just in case I forget how I did something, you know, like especially if I'm recording it and then I want to do a video of it later, it's like that I don't remember what I did on the guitar. So I do. I have
great tip.
Yeah, I say that to anybody who thinks, because you might get this, you might hear it on the recording and think, oh, that sounds nice, but there was a really nice open string you forgot about when you were recording it, you know, and then you want to get that sound again.
Yeah, and you can never get it quite the same way, even if you know technically how it works. Something about the vibe, something about the feel of it.
Yeah, especially on a guitar, because you can play the same thing a million different ways on a guitar. The piano is fine; you can only hit certain keys, right? So,
yeah, that's true. Well, it's an interesting story about Every Little Thing She Did Is Magic by the Police.
Yeah,
because Sting actually wrote that originally with some keyboardist in Canada, actually, and. When they brought it in the studio, they were trying to sort of redo it, and they just couldn't quite get the vibe. So they actually wound up using the demo that Sting, like that piano, is the demo.
Oh, is the actual sound?
And they had to play to that, which is amazing. It's one of my favorite songs, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Produced by the amazing Nick Bogona.
Yes, that's right.
But
that's
one
true.
of my favorite songs. But
it's true. Like there's magic. I've heard other people say that there's demos that end up on the final, you know, as a track because you can't get that magic back easily. Yeah. You got to sit there and study it, and you can't get it back. Yeah.
Yeah, and even if you study it too much or too hard, then you're gonna lose it anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, it's amazing when you read about some of the Beatles sessions. How many times they would go at a song. Like, it's just not one or two. They would do like 28, 30 takes.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know if you were a big fan of the Revolver release when it came out, when they had all those extra demos of, I think it's And Your Bird Can Sing. You know, that's a song I've always wondered how it got to where it was. And it had about 5 different feels before they settled on the finished one. And that guitar riff, you know, And you think, where did they get the time? Like they ran off like 10 songs in a week, you know, but they had time to do 5 completely different versions of one of them. Yeah, incredible.
I wonder if that's one of the challenges about working on your own, is that you don't have, it's harder to do many different versions of a song to explore. Like if you're in a band, you can say, well, let's slow it up. And then everyone slows and go, well, it doesn't work. And let's go out really fast. And you do it, you can do those changes so quickly. But when you're working on your own, you can set slow it down. It's harder to explore in some ways.
Absolutely. No, I would say if I had the choice, I'd love to be, and a producer too, right? Producer, and then say 3 other guys in a band, and you've got 5 people listening back, and people will suggest things, and I haven't got the luxury to do that, working alone in my home studio. I do have a band that I play with live, but getting the 4 of them all together just to rehearse is a trouble, let alone working on songs, for hours on end.
I remember way back in the day, I was sitting in a car and had CFNY on 102.1 The Edge in Toronto.
Wow.
Back in the 90s, and they had this. It wasn't Trent Reznor himself, but it was someone talking about Trent Reznor, and they were playing these like early demos of Trent Reznor just with an acoustic guitar singing his songs, right? And when you hear the Nine Inch Nails fully produced stuff, and this is the guy who's like you say, Phil, he's on his own, right? Is his thing, right? And just to hear a bunch of Nine Inch Nails songs, just him singing it, raw, which is the guitar was quite the interesting thing. But they had the same vibe, they had the same feel as what it ended up as with all the industrial instruments and the drums and the synthesizers and everything. And
the seed of the song just begins very humbly on a guitar, but it can turn into something. And then, of course, Hurt was redone by Johnny Cash, bringing it back to the original version.
Hurt was pretty minimalist as it was.
Well, and I think that's why they're great songs, because they don't rely on the synths, they don't rely on the drum machines. They just are a great song. And you can take a great song, you can do it in lots of different styles, and it works. And sometimes the problem with our technology is it's tricksters. So it makes you think that you have a really good idea, but all you have is really cool sounds and the machines are doing cool stuff, but it's actually not a good song. And that can be, and there was a lot of stuff in the 80s, I think, kind of. And
then that's certainly the case with your song, Greg. People don't change. I mean, you don't need the sitar, you don't need the tabla, you don't need all that other stuff. We could whip this off with acoustic guitar and you sing, and then it would translate as a perfectly good song.
Well, thanks for saying that. I would hope that it would come across that way, that it wasn't. It was just
because the melodies are strong, the cadences are good, like everything just falls into place really neat and tidy and nice, and the 3/4 time makes it a little bit unique and everything. Like it's it's simple, but it's very highly crafted, right?
Well, thank you. No, thanks for saying that.
I love and there's an intro. Everyone is so crazy about getting people to, listen right off the top. They're going, "Oh, no intro, just get right into it, or get right into the chorus." And I think I've just gotten tired about that. I just want to hear, like intros again and instrumentals and guitar solos. I think we've done enough of the social media music.
Yeah, I like songs that introduce things bit by bit, which is kind of what I was doing there. I started with the guitar, and then the drums, and then the strings come in the second verse. And then it builds at the end.
Your chorus doesn't hit until at least a minute into this thing.
That's true, because of the long intro. Yeah,
the long intro and then 2 long verses. But again, your verses are interesting too, right? Because it's da 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 da, and then da 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 da. Like you take the melody somewhere else at the end of the verse and sort of cap it off nicely. Like it's cool. So by the time you do get to the chorus, you've already heard a bunch of interesting things: the story, the melodies, the instrumentation, everything.
Yeah, no thanks.
But I'm of the same kind of old school mentality. I don't need my songs done in 15 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, there's time for that too. I figured this will be a B-side. If it was if it was a single, it would be the B-side. And the hit would be on the other side. It is a 4-minute song. Yeah, it's actually. I mean, that's long. It's when I look at it, I think that's actually quite long for how it felt when I was doing it. I didn't think of it as a long song, but
because it's only 2 verses, really.
There's
There's only 2 verses.
Yeah, that's right. There is only 2 verses and a bridge.
When you look
at
it, it seems like a lot of words, but you repeat the chorus 3 times.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, and the chorus, I mean, in terms of your lyric sheet, it's like 5 lines per verse, and then so that's 10 lines, and then 8 lines for the chorus. The chorus is almost as long as the verse.
Right.
That's true.
Like the chorus has got 2 parts to it. And it really builds to land on that final "People Don't Change."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the model for it was. I'm trying to think what influenced that style, or that way of writing. But I don't know.
I'm so accustomed to the way I learned to write songs, which is always intro, verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, end, which is so long now, and it's just going, wow, that's a lot. And I've been paying attention to it last so long, going, I don't think anyone does songs that long anymore. But 2 verses seems to be the standard these days.
Right. Yeah. I think
and then depends if you have a bridge or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So songs are getting shorter, on Spotify and the rest of it, but. No, I've had it on Spotify for 2 months now, and I've been promoting it through. I use Meta ads, Facebook ads to promote it. So that's how I managed to get to people. And it's not as popular as some of my other songs. It's interesting to sort of compare to see how many people listen, and where they're from and that kind of thing.
How do you find advertising on Facebook for your songs?
It's done well for me. Like I had that my Guns and Money song now just reached 50,000 plays on Spotify, and that was really just from initially running ads $10 a day for about 3 or 4 months until it got to a steady, and then it kind of stayed there. When I stopped running the ads, it's about 300 people a day, 400 people a day. So it did help, because that's all I've used. Other than telling people, my friends and family, going on places like you guys and talking about it, that's the only advertising I've done. So
what did you use for your targeting?
I started out with North America, Canada, Australia. I think there's like 10. I watched this guy called Dupree. His last name is Dupree, and he suggests these 10 magic countries. They're called tier 1 countries because they're more expensive than other countries. But like the United States, England, Canada, Australia, Ireland, Finland, a few other like that, and those seem to be. You can target other countries like India, Mexico, and you'll get a lot of listens, but they're not as valuable if you're planning to go touring and playing, because you're less likely to play there. That's the way to look at it. Like you want to play, you want to target places where you think you might end up playing. So it's a very tedious, long process that I never wanted to do, but
and you're certainly right. This does feel like more of a Greg Wyard B-side. It's a little more introspective than your other songs that I know of. It's not quite as upbeat and poppy and rocky as some of your other songs that I know of.
Yeah.
So it's a nice B-side for sure. But
it's a side I wanted to express, for whatever reason, just to have it. It's like my Norwegian Wood, basically. That's how I look at it.
It's Norwegian Wood a B-side.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, it wasn't a number 1. So.
No. Okay.
What's next for this song? Are you just still promoting it? Are you going to do a tour, or what's going on?
Is this a single, or is it going to make its way onto an album?
Well, I'm planning to do a full album once I've done. I'm going to keep releasing songs on Spotify until I have about 10 or 12, and then the plan after that is to assess the situation. I'm hoping to have more followers, or to be doing more shows in the meantime, and then maybe it would be feasible to make an album, a vinyl album or CD,
so an actual physical album,
and offer it to people perhaps who've already listened to the songs and might want to buy the album. So
well, because getting back to the meta advertising bit, is there also Gen Xers? Like, is that
what's that?
Like you're targeting geographic areas, but also you're also targeting age groups.
Well, my age group is older than is my age. So like 50 plus. That's who's. I mean, I do have listeners in that other bracket too, but you can see the breakdown. Of who's listening. So, but there's it's a viable market. There's people of all ages looking for new music and somebody to provide it for them. So hopefully I can do that.
And of course, half the young musicians I talk to are always like, I wish I grew up in the 80s. You guys had the best music. I'm like, yeah. Yes, we did. We did.
Yeah, I know.
The Beatles are still selling.
Well, it's incredible, isn't it?
You know what?
Yeah, everybody knows. Everybody, who would have known what we considered growing up, as great music would still be around. It didn't work from our parents to us. We weren't listening to music 30 years old when we were, growing up, but they are now. So.
Well, because all the kids now are friends with their parents, and they want.
I think that's the difference, right? You don't reject your parents' music the way we used to.
Yeah, because your parents are actually cool.
Yeah, parents have become cooler or something. I don't know why that is, but yeah.
Our parents never really liked us.
Exactly.
To our parents, kids were like a traffic accident or a tax on it. Just kind of happened to you, and you had to deal with it.
What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah, I remember my dad was a jazz musician, when he was growing up. So he didn't want me to be a jazz musician. So that was the advice he gave me. Yeah.
But did you grow up playing jazz music? Is that the other thing?
No, I played anything but.
Anything but.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, great stuff.
Great stuff, Greg. Okay, I think I'm hearing the band. I believe that is all the time.
The band's joining.
Yeah, we have on Song Talk Radio. Special thanks to Greg Wyard. And of course, where can our listeners find out more about you and hear some more tunes?
I'm on gregwyard.com, GregWyard.com. I'm on Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, all those, just with my name, Greg Wyard. And of course, Spotify. And please take a listen.
All right. Yeah, we'll definitely send our listeners that way. We want to hear from you too, so please send your comments on Facebook or Instagram to @SongTalkRadio, or send us an email, feedback@songtalk.ca. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube channel for live performance videos and full episodes, and subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on your favorite podcast provider. And you can find links to all the products, books, and web services we mentioned on the show on our resources page on the website. And please join us at our next monthly Song Talk meetup. Whether you're in Toronto for our in-person meetups or anywhere in the world for our online meetups, it's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend. Bring a song and a lyric sheet and get constructive feedback from other songwriters. Stop by songtalk.ca for the link. You can follow me at neilmodi.com. You can follow Phil
at philemery.ca.
And Greg, what's your favorite social media channel? Where do you post the most?
Instagram, I would say. So Instagram/Greg Wyard.
Greg Wyard on Instagram. Perfect. All right. And be sure to stop by the website, songtalk.ca, to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Thanks for tuning in, and keep on writing.
Rockin'.